I get the lovely pleasure of playing with flowers all day long and seeing the wonderful new product that comes in. I've been a designer for about 30 years. I was inducted 2 years ago and should have done it a long time ago. It has really changed my life. I've met such wonderful people, friends that I can call family. And it just opened up my design eye, my knowledge of flowers. It just has really pushed me. So if you haven't done it, I really suggest that. I also am a quilter as well, so I like to fuse those two together. With quilting, I get to play with color as well. I get to play with lines. I get to play with pattern. So it all kind of fuses together. So it helps me kind of bridge that gap. It's just a little difference. In 2018, I was awarded the Picture Perfect Wedding for the best wedding for Forest Review. So my program today will be Weddings that Win. I'll explain to you about how you go about getting a program or your wedding published or winning the contest. So let's start today with, this is a fun little wreath. This is a new wreath by Syndicate Sales. They have a new line called Bella Moss. It's fabulous. I'll go through a few of the other items that they have in that line as well. So we're going to start with just a little door piece here. Just sort of a little entrance. They have this here at Bay Skinner, which I want to reach out and say thank you so much for a wonderful opportunity to allow us to come here and be a part of this. I had wonderful sponsors as well that were able to provide me with wonderful products. Being in the wholesale business, I get to pull a little strings now and then. My sponsors today were Royal Flowers, Rosa Prima, Syndicate Sales, Greenpoint, Asset Decor. So I had a lot of people that I pulled from, so I was very, very lucky to be able to present today. So this lovely door here that they have, I just fell in love with. The turquoise, really popping colors. As you see, my colors today are the new Pantone colors this year, Living Coral. Last year, the wedding that I presented or to win was based on lilac, which is the color of the Pantone last year. I just wanted to make a little change, and we see a lot of people are wearing coral today. Very great. So this wonderful piece can be used as a bridal bouquet or a bridesmaid or a little flower girl, and then it can be used as well again during the ceremony. So you can hang it on the door. This can be used as a wonderful backdrop for a ceremony, or behind a head table would be fabulous. Colorado, we're really rustic. We have a lot of mountain setting weddings, so something like this would really go great. So we're going to dress it up a little bit, and we have a couple side pieces to come out. And I have to thank my wonderful team that helped me. Without a team, you're no one. You have to have wonderful people that work for you. I want to thank Thaddeus Cervantes. I want to thank Lisa Waddell, Robin Beard, my husband Ken, and without them, I couldn't have done this. I mean, it's such a great honor to say, here's my vision, run with it. And they just helped me out. So these great pieces here, just kind of flank the door. So it just gives it a little more drama than just the door itself and the wreath. We did these on a jumbo cage, real simple, real easy. They could either be done at your shop, at your event center, or on site. I like to do a lot of the larger pieces on site because of transportation, delivery purposes. I think it really helps us to not break flowers, and it just, things change as you get to events. So this really helps. I did this piece as a bottom. It's done on a raquette. I love working with raquettes. If you're not familiar with them, they are the long kind of plastic oasis that's wrapped in that perforated plastic. They come on a little solid base. They're really great because they're light, they're airy, they take up wonderful space. I just get a big trough that we soak them in, let them drip a little bit. They're wonderful mantles, they're great for centerpieces. We're really big in Colorado now with elongated runner centerpieces for tables. Those work wonderful well. So this could be, it's very versatile. So I hope you enjoy it. to weddings that win. To be submitted to have your weddings looked at for our florist review, they have different categories. To win the overall wedding contest, you have to submit every facet of your wedding, from, of course, personals. You have to have the bridesmaids. You have to have pictures. So you really want to get in with your photographer and make sure you get those personal pictures, those professional pictures. So you get your personal work. You have to have the ceremony site. You have to have the reception as well, the cake, flowers, table centerpieces, whatever else you do. So you have to submit everything. The wedding I was wonderful to work with was held in Aspen, Colorado. We're so lucky with our beautiful mountains and our settings in Aspen. It was held on a ranch that we could only dream of living on. It's probably a $6 million ranch. I mean, it was unreal. Beautiful house, side cabins, its own private lake. And this was my family that was getting married there. And they wanted, of course, the elaborate, she was from LA, the elaborate weddings that everybody wants, that everybody sees on Pinterest. So she wanted a huge arch. And she said her uncle was going to make the arch. As designers, we all know that scares us. We don't know what it's going to look like. I had no idea. I had no clue how it was going to be established. I had no clue as to what it was going to look like. And when I got there, that arch was fabulous. I mean, it could have been in somebody's yard. It was so sturdy. It didn't move, which is great. We have a lot of wind in Colorado, even though it's warm. And that comes, and those arches can be taken over. So if it's not secured down, you really got to do it. So what I did here in the arch, I used 5 jumbo cages, zip ties, our friends. We all love zip ties. What do we do without them? And I like to do an arch a little different than everybody. You can do that all the way around. I like to do a little asymmetrical. I like a little more ins and outs where your eye is drawn in and it just isn't a polka dot effect around. I also like to incorporate tropicals. I think it just adds a little bit of flair, a little bit of different texture to it. The colors just really set off here. So of course we use living coral, and I like to bridge that gap with other peaches in white, and then I love the green that we added here just for that pop of color. We did a little braiding technique here. We took some areca palm. We just did a simple braiding technique. Over, under, over, under, over, under. It's real simple. Mr. Phil Rolota, our wonderful friend who shows us all how to weave. So I just, sat in front of the TV the other night and just weaved, and I just think it gives it a little more movement. It draws your eye up and around, and it really creates a wonderful look. Southern Smilex, Colorado's best friend. We bring it in as a wholesaler in bags and bags. It comes to us in a big trash bag. We probably bring in 50 to 60 a week. And I know in Texas it's a weed. We can't get enough of it. So it's great for that kind of rustic, kind of mountain feel, because it goes such a long way. The bag that comes with us is a huge trash bag, and it's probably 3-4 pounds is what it comes in. And when it's really on prime season, the laterals are so nice and long, you can use it to decorate your arch. You can use it, take the laterals off and weave it in your centerpieces. You can use it in your bridal bouquet, and it holds. I mean, in Colorado, for as dry as we are, it really holds. And most of the time, I don't even secure it in the arch, in the foam. I just kind of weave it around the arch and let it do its thing. Let it be all creative, let it move, let it speak for yourself, and that's how it dictates where I'm going with kind of my flowers. So, with the arch, it takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of flowers. The wedding I did, we were probably in, they always come to you with those big, huge ideas of budget, what they want, if the budget is this big. So she wanted to spend about $500, and then her mother called and said, I want her to be wowed. Can I give you $3,000 for the arch? I said, sure, I can do it. You know, we all want more money. So that just allows me to be really creative, add tons of flowers. I also like to do a lot of reflexing with some of the flowers. That way it gives it just a lot more oomph. Just simple reflexing, make sure they're really open. And it also makes them look fuller, and it gives just a little look. I don't do a lot of them, you know, I think a lot of reflex roses will look a little funny. But if you do some here and there, it just gives a nice little texture and just opens that up really well. And it looks really full. It's just a little pop for you. So I hope you enjoyed my arch. Here, of course, Free Spirit, which is a very popular rose where I'm from. I don't know if everybody else uses it as well. Another one of my favorites, and this is Lisa's favorite saying, I use these Kahala. And I always say Kahala for your mama, or holler for Kahala. And I can point them out over there. They're just such a wonderful little antique kind of corally color that really bridge a gap between peach and coral. I love it. I mean, and they open up, they have that wonderful little cabbage center. It's great. So as you see, I was very lucky to have this wonderful product to work with. Another one of my sponsors is Sun Valley. They're from California. We're spoiled in Colorado because we're so close to California. We get a lot of their product. And they sent wonderful tulip and these beautiful kale in here. They're wonderful lilies. And they all grow them, you know, right in California. So very lucky to play with this. So next, we're going to set the scene and a little more drama. Urns. I think it just, by adding a few more pieces out front, it's just going to give us a little more wow factor just to complement the urns. Now these guys, what we did, I used the wonderful new line from Syndicate Sales. You see the Holly Chapel pillow. So these I find are fabulous. They're great. So you have these big urns. How do you transport these? You know, I mean, we all don't have these huge vans. So if you're designing the pillows, you can transport them in a bucket like they brought them out in. And then we just pop them back in our container. Simple. Placing these guys, make sure they don't tip over. We just put them in a wonderful bucket. They're easy to go. The pillows are really great to work with. I'm going to grab one real quick. They come in a myriad of sizes. They start out at 3 inches, 4 inches, I think 6, 10 and a half, and this is their new 12. Really great to put on a cylinder. We have those really tall cylinders that a lot of people use. Sit right on top. You don't have to fill the water all the way up. Transport is a breeze, and they're really light. They come in 2 pieces. Snap them together with their little pieces here. Easy to go, and they're reusable. I stick them in the dishwasher. Rewash them, use them. I use them all the time. They're great for everyday centerpieces, for when you're designing your centerpieces, so you don't have to transport all the vases, all the water. You can put them all in, you know, buckets and take them out. Keep your centerpieces in your boxes. Get to the reception, fill your containers, and then just pop them back in. My mother loves these because she can pull the container, pull the flowers out of the container, dump the water, change it, and just set them back in. Real simple. So we're going to add a little more drama to these guys, just to, because we all need drama. Curly Willow. And sometimes it's like a friend. Just find the hole. We all use every part of our body to design with, right? Tape goes in the mouth. Everything goes between your legs to help.
Under your arms.
Under your arms, yeah. So this added just more height. gouge your eye out. Great backdrop for the arch. These wonderful urns are from Accent Decor. Of course, we did the pillow. They do come with a metal liner inside, so you don't have to worry about, will this leak? The metal liners are in there. They're really great. So I like to clump and put a lot of stuff together to add more drama. I think if you do like a three-square here, it kind of gets a little polka dot. That way when we concentrate our flowers together, it creates more of a drama. We have our wonderful line with our bells of Ireland. As we all know, they change during the day, during the night. I don't care in a wedding. I think it looks great. However they want to go, I love the movement. The great hollow leaves. I love them how they're just clumped together to create a wonderful deep line. We have the quince, and when this blooms out, when that little pink color and the little coral will just be gorgeous. Here we have chikrimi, which is a great rose. Of course, our anthurium, our monstera leaves. I love to use big tropical leaves with flower arrangements. I think it takes up space. It's a great space feeler. You don't have all that greens you have to deal with, and it's just a wonderful little texture. So I have Robin, my wonderful assistant, painted my Plumosa for me, and it took a lot. They are offering now, we get it out of Holland, painted Plumosa. We go through it like crazy. We bring in black, we bring in coral, we bring in hot pink. The lavender is just stunning. So I just think, if you had a lot of this, it would be a little overwhelming, but just a little touch. Tuck it in. I have it trailing down. Just draws your eye down. Just fun little color. Try it. Ask your wholesaler, hey, I saw that new painted Plumosa, can you get it in? It's not cheap, but it goes a long way. So we're going to add some more drama to the aisle. We have these wonderful aisle pieces coming out. So by adding more up the aisle, I like to start from the back and finish. So if your bride only wants 4 pieces, make sure it's at the front, a couple in the middle, and then come down to the back. Thaddeus did a great job designing these for me. These are done on a new item from Syndicate Sales called the Serenity line. These are wonderful invention. A florist, I'm sorry I forgot her name, designed these for Syndicate, like the Holly Chapel line. So these are basically just an oversized jumbo cage, soak them. They have a little water reserve at the bottom for it. So you can use these for urns, sympathy pieces. You can use them for weddings. So you soak this, and then you just place where you want your riser to be. They just go right in, real simple. As you see, these are set right on top. So the water won't wick to your wood. It keeps them dry. If you're doing a funeral piece, you have those beautiful urns. How do you protect them? This is a great way. I would probably still maybe put a little piece of plastic down there just for added security.
What's the name of that?
Serenity line,
Serenity.
and it's from Syndicate Sales.
Okay.
It's their new line. Along with this line, they also have a plastic picture holder. So we all do funeral pieces, and you're like, how am I going to put that picture into a funeral? It's a great little holder that you just sit, the picture sits in it, so you don't have to say, can I take your picture and go have it laminated so it doesn't wake the water, and it's really great. So, and they're really not heavy when they're wet. And they come in this size, and then there's a little smaller size. They also, the risers have the square ones, and they have this nice little lip. And then they also have round. So if you're doing a round urn or say a round candle holder, these are great for that as well. These are also from Syndicate Sales. They come in this color, the brown. They also come in white, and they have a taller one as well. They're really inexpensive. So they're a great piece to have in your collection and your rental piece. So of course we want more drama. You gotta have drama, right? What's with drama about petals? I love when I bride walk down the aisle and her dress is just kind of skating along the grass on petals. And earlier, a lady was asking me, how many petals does it take to really do an aisle? A lot. A lot. If you go on Flirty Flir's blog, she has a petal study where she did a foot, 2 feet, or 3 feet, and how many roses it took to do a foot, how many it took to do 3. That way you can kind of, figure it out and see how many it takes, because it's really going to take a lot. In Colorado, we see those wonderful pictures where the wonderful designs all sculpted out, and it doesn't work so well in Colorado. We get a nice gust of wind, it's gone and nothing flat. You've got to do that like right before. So on my wedding, she wanted that. So I had to kind of think, how am I going to do this? Because Aspen is really, really windy. So I just kind of did a haphazard kind of scroll down the aisle, real loose, that if it blew away, it still gave her the effect. And I like to bring the petals, as you see, all over. That way, you have drama, and it just brings your eye. I think it's just a wonderful carpet to bring your eye up. So those are the ceremony pieces. And then we have our wonderful cake. Robin designed our beautiful cake over here. It is also sitting on one of the Serenity pieces. Since, straight down, we did actually 2 pieces, 2 of the Serenity cages next door to each other. Put them on and it's set very simply down. We wanted a different feel. I wanted a full amount of flowers around the bottom, but I also wanted it to be loose. I wanted it to be airy, and I wanted it to have some texture. This moss here is another part of the Bala moss from Syndicate Sales. This is a moss mat, 3 feet wide. I want to say it was 180 feet. I mean, it came in a box this big. It's great. It's heavy. I mean, moss is really great in Colorado. It gives us that mountain texture. It gives us that woodsy feel. And as we know, when you're doing moss, sheet moss, or any other type of moss on a table, it gets really messy. Simple. This hardly ever sheds. It's bound on the back by a gray gridding. They also have another one, and I believe it's 12 inches long. It has a sticky back, so you pull that back and you can just set it down. There's several different sizes in here. Our cake top. We decided to do something a little bit different. Instead of a traditional just loose flowers, we did a great little base with accent decor. This copper just pulls everything in. The great Monstera leaves, look at the drama that gave you. Fullness. Space fillers. Space fillers. That's why I like to use a lot of hydrangea as well. They take up space. So you don't need as many flowers. If you're doing centerpieces after centerpieces, 3 or 4 hydrangeas in there, and you've got that covered, and then you just tuck in a few other roses. Once again, we use beautiful anthurium from Greenpoint. We use some wonderful Free Spirit, these great French tulips from Sun Valley. We went really crazy and did really fun with our curly willow. Just gave it some movement as your eye fall through. These great shimmer roses, if we haven't used shimmer yet, it's a paler peach. Fabulous. They open up so beautifully. Just love them. Of course, Free Spirit, Coral Duchess. We also added a few more little votive cups here just to add a little more texture. And this just wonderful movement. Your eye starts, it just continues down. So it's not just a cake. It's an experience for them when they're out here. And that's what we're creating, right? Experiences for everybody. These wonderful hedges came here from Bash and Skinner, which really sets a wonderful scene here. Just adds a little more weight down on the floor, to keep your eye moving. So isn't that a great cake? Now we have a great table centerpiece. Right now everybody is into the big elevated centerpieces. The multiple centerpieces down the aisle, or sorry, down the table. Just love it. Here, this is from Accent Decor. Great elevated piece. It's fairly sturdy. We use 2 briquettes, a nice 18-inch fits right on top, sit right in there, and we use another one down here. Lisa Waddell did a great job of helping me design this. We used, of course, the myriad of roses that I was so fortunate to play with in the last couple days that, can't thank our sponsors enough. We did great accent decor pieces. These are so popular in Colorado. Accent Decor is such a great line that they have everything. It just really is a wonderful line that captures from very high end to very rustic to very artistic. So it's just a great line. These little guys, I think they're so cute. We'll pass them around. Little place card holders. So this table can be used in various ways. You can buy a whole bunch of these and have them be as, find your table. Have this down, and then you can give it something for them to take home. You can also put them, if you have a head table and you want people to, where you want them to sit, just little cards. So go ahead. Holds a nice little bloom. Card sits right there. There's a little indentation in the glass. Real simple. Fairly inexpensive. Not too bad. Once again, we use this beautiful moss runner, which I just love. I mean, this could be something that you can keep in your event place and just use it over and over and over. And we cut it and just draped it as a regular table draping. But doesn't it give you a wonderful texture? Doesn't it give you, instead of just your normal table linen, I think it just gives you, that added element. For Colorado, that just gives us that, everybody wants that rustic look. Rustic but elegant is what we call it. This just really makes it a step up for it. We use a lot of birch boxes, we use a lot of wood boxes in Colorado. I think we're never gonna get any of those. Those are just something that we use over and over and over. But by adding, a little metallic color, even if we did like wood boxes through here, adding a little bit of metallic is just gonna pop that look. It's just really gonna set it off. This is a preserved sheet moss from Syndicate Sales. This is in their Bella Blossom line, or Bella Boss. And that's stunning. It's nice and flat. You notice that if you buy sheet moss, sometimes it can be really clumpy. It can be really airy. This is all pristine. The color is very uniform throughout. So it's just a wonderful product. They have a whole new line. So if you have a chance, ask your wholesaler, hey, I saw that Bella Blossom line. Let's get it in and we'll pass that around and you can kind of play with it. We use a lot of curly willow in Colorado. Armatures, height, drama. It just really gives you a elongated look and airy feel that you can kind of just play with and use in different ways. Here we just kind of scattered it around the table, put the centerpiece in, and then we just went ahead and put the wonderful pieces throughout the centerpiece. You see it here, we also put some of these inside the centerpiece here. Then you can do little votives. You gotta be careful, of course. Colorado, we have a lot of fires, of course, so candles are banned in the mountains. So you gotta either use the LED candles, or you really don't, anything in here. You can put a little marble or something as well. But you just gotta, make sure your venue knows, or what their venue allows you to do. But candles are really big. We just go through them like crazy. But you gotta just make sure you are able to use them in your settings. Colorado, during the summer, no open flames, pretty much, even in the city, they won't allow because it's just too risky. This is our wonderful centerpiece.
Before we
Yes,
do
yes.
that, can you show us about that braiding? Because some of us don't know anything about that.
Oh,
Can you
you want me to do it again?
Well, can a few people do it?
Sure, let's take some out and pass them around. Yeah. You can also use Rovolini as well. It's not as long and it doesn't, you know, the tall, thick leaves, but. So I start at the bottom, hold it over, fold it under, over, under, and then I grab it. I do four leaves. So I find that's, and then I do it again. I crimp it, under, over, under, and then just pull it aside.
Can you hold it up?
Stay on the same side. Then I
Crimp
hold
it.
this hand. Grab this one, start
Drop
with
it.
the 5, 1, 2.
Under, over, under, over. Pull to the side.
Pull it to that other bit.
So how do you make it stay then, when you're all done?
Well, as it'll start locking in as you're pulling up, because you won't be able to hold these down here. And then when I get to the top, I either take one of these leaves and tie it around the top, or I take some bind wire and tie it. Okay. So I'll pull one out and you can see. If you want to pass around and play, we'll pull one out.
Hey Bill,
Yes.
a little place card glass.
Yes.
What is that from?
Accent Decor. I think they're new. I just saw them in a catalog, and I said, "Oh, I gotta have those." But wouldn't that be great as a going away gift?
Sure.
Those probably wholesale cost $2 to $3 a piece. I didn't get a price on them because I think they were new. So my invoice that came to me said 0, so I didn't get it. I didn't get it.
That's what it was.
I love donations. I love donations.
We would all like those.
But they are in the new line of Accent Decor in the new spring line.
And I might say our shop won Wedding of the Year in 2011, and then we got an award in 15 and in 6 with different weddings. But we hired our own photographer, and then we supplemented it with
With
a professional
those,
photographer,
yes.
because sometimes a
They don't get the
photographer.
pictures you want.
That's right, and they don't.
Yes.
They don't want to deal with you sometimes.
Right.
So we
right.
we hired our own. When we had a big enough wedding, we hired our own.
Yes.
Because we
And
thought.
mine charged me to get pictures of the wedding I won. A lot of money. He charged me like $10 a picture for a digital print. And I thought, really?
But you
most
wanted
of us-
Yeah.
I mean, most of us work with photographers, and they're more than generous to say, here,
Yeah,
take what you
here it is,
need.
digital,
This
yeah.
one was, it was Aspen. So, you kind of go with Aspen and go like, what you can. But yes, you should take pictures of everything you do. You got to make sure you have, the ceremony before people are there, the ceremony while it's going on. You got to make sure you have pictures not just of the bouquets, but of the bridesmaids holding the bouquets, of boutonnieres. You got to make sure you have boutonnieres. You got to have at least 2 or 3. I actually submitted a lot of pictures I took with my iPhone. And those are the ones that they published in the magazine. So, just snap. I mean, you've got to have pictures of everything you do. You really do. I mean, and iPhones now, or any other phone, takes such wonderful pictures that you can manipulate them the way you want. Because whenever a bride sends us a picture, it's filtered. That's not the true color. When I buy roses at the wholesale, they're like, what color is this rose? Well, I know it's been filtered. I know it's been altered. So I have to ask the question, what shade are you trying to get to? Yeah, that looks like, say, like an amnesia rose on there, but was it filtered? Was it lavender? So, but take pictures. Even if you have to pay from your weddings, make sure you contact that photographer. I'm always like, here's my card, please give me pictures, because, that's your advertisement, unfortunately. And most of them will work with you, but you'll find a few that charge you, but it's part of the game. Now we're going to go into bridal work. We sent with the lovely little purse. Aren't these cute? This is not my This is part of the Balamoss line for syndicate sales. We've seen a lot of purses around. They come, they go. But I think this is really cute. It's full of plastic on the inside, so we just cut a little bit of foam and dropped it in there. And it's really secure, because most girls, No idea who it is.
All the way around.
We didn't add any water, but it's real simple, and it doesn't have to be a lot, and it's fairly light. You know, sometimes you can get some of them. They have different sizes. I think there's 3 sizes to the line. Some with wood handles, you know, like a little more rustic look. They're really cute. And I can't really say a price because everybody in every part of the country is a little bit different in how they're, you know, how we price different things. But we'll start with some more bridal work. This is a nod to our presenters tomorrow. I am not a structural banker like the girls, but God love them, they are so fabulous. But this was my little kind of artistic, kind of out there bride that, you know, you kind of get somebody that wants something a little different. I took 18 gauge wire, I stuck it in a drill, and then I followed the, you know, as I pushed the handle, I just followed the yarn all the way through and did my little turns up there, did the peach on the handle, just a little simple. Photo shoots, these would be great for photo shoots. Just something, you know, you can even do these with dried flowers or preserved flowers. That way you can have it all the time and stick it in your bridal consultation room. Some bride may come in and say, I want that. Or they have a niece that is, you know, just kind of out there, kind of a rocker. This may be it for them, you know, it's just real fun. And they have such fun yarn now. You know, you can get the yarn that's all kind of crazy and hairy and the way it comes in. You can make these thicker. If you want to make have different thickness throughout the wire, you can wrap little bits of plastic, like a plastic bag through there, and wrap the wire over, the yarn over it, and that'll create more depth and give you a little more look. But it's kind of fun, something a little different to play with. We'll have you pass that around. This was done, as we break them, all right. This was done in the Holly Chapel A, part of her line. I know it's been out for a couple years. If you're not familiar with it, it's the take on the chicken wire egg. We all have done chicken wire. We all work with it and mess with it and cut our hands open and bleed. And she designed this line to eradicate that. Let me show that to you. And grab it.
No more tetanus shots needed.
Yes, more tetanus shots. So this is the egg. Comes in 2 sizes. You have the 6 and the 4. Real simple to put together. Easy, light. Then, when you do, I'll show you later, it's just so light and airy. And it creates that, I call them the casket piece bridal bouquets. Carrying the big, huge things down the aisle, you know, where you can't see them, where remember we go through the trends where it has to be tight, compact, and small. You don't want to cover their dresses. Now, you can't even see the bride, you know, you just see them coming down. But, hey, it's more money in our pocket. If they want to pay for it, great. You know, and those big pieces, $300, $400, $500. I mean, you really got to charge for them because it's a lot of product. But with the egg, it eliminates having to do so much product. You don't have to sit there and, you know, your greens and roses, and you can create those long, extended looks. We're going to bring out another piece here that's going to sort of the same sort of feel that we hand tied. So this one was hand tied without the egg. This one was done with the egg. So you kind of don't get the same look. Exactly. You get the traditional hand tied look. This makes you give that long, elongated feel that everybody wants. And you can kind of feel, you know, one's a little bit heavier than the other one. This one's a little lighter, and you can create more depth. You can drop your flowers in a little bit more than you can because you can kind of pull them up and pull them down, and just kind of play with it. That's that
And you
over
can
here.
stop and answer the phone.
That's right. And stand. Without doing the spiral and everything, It's real easy to do. But if you want to pass that around, they can feel the weight. Next, what we're going to bring out is my take on armatures. We all have to try. We all see the wonderful Stacy Carlton and Jenny Thomas and showing us their wonderful talent on Instagram. And you're like, I gotta try that. I gotta try that. So what I did is 18 gauge wire. I hand wrapped it with bind wire. Long process, tedious, cramps. You know, it's almost like making 300 corsages and boutonnieres, but with one wire. You just sit there, you know, and it takes a while. You gotta be pretty.
What about your
You know, I didn't try the drill with the bind wire because I was afraid it would unravel it. You know, unlike the yarn when we did it. I'll have to try that. That's something we'll have to go and see because, you know, as you're kind of binding it, the bind wire kind of unravels from the raffia. So I don't know if the drill would do that. I'll give it a shot. So I took the new wire from Oasis, the mesh wire. If you haven't used it, it's real thin. It's like chicken wire. It comes in silver, copper, and gold. It's about 12 inches. So I cut some of it. Be very careful because when you cut it, it's sharper than chicken wire. It'll just slice you like nobody's business. So then I just kind of weaved it on the armature bottom, wove some ribbon through. This is all from Oasis. This is their new line, this is their lace, and this is their muslin. Their muslin ribbon is great. I mean, they've got that real soft pastel colors. You have the coral, you have sort of a light green, you have white, there's a soft blue. There's just a myriad of colors that is really fun to work with. And you know, right now, ribbons. Everybody wants ribbons, and this just gives you a different texture than you do bridal satin. So what we did here, we just put in some green trick on the bottom as a base. And then I went in with some David Austin patience, these wonderful ranunculus, some Kieris bud, or back in the day we used to call it Andromeda, but now it's got a better name, Kieris bud. So it's just something kind of fun, something kind of whimsy, not for everybody, but you know, if you do a couple of these structures in your bridal consultation room,
Let's not forget that dry.
the leaf rustic, yeah, I'll show you. I didn't use a lot of that, but
It really makes sense.
yeah, if you look in the wire piece I did, there's little tiny pieces of the bleach ruscus. That's really pretty. Bleach is really in right now. The amaranthus, the ruscus, what else is, like some wheat, it comes in, so it's really fun. I mean, you don't have to put it in water. You can use it over and over, so that's really fun to play with. Hey, our next piece. This is my armature. Another nod to Jenny.
Wow.
I tried. So this one's a little different. You create your armature base, wire wrapped with bind wire, and she'll show you her wonderful tips and techniques tomorrow. And then I took these wonderful wood chips that come from Accent Decor. They come in a nice little bag, so I wasn't out there with a saw cutting the trees down. You know, they come in a nice little thing. My dad painstakingly did a drill. I don't even know what it was called, a drill press, something. And it was done, simple. So I didn't have to sit there and fight. And then I just attached them with bind wire. I did use a little hot glue on the center pieces around. And then these are just cold glued on. Because I wanted you to see the stem here, the treatment on the stem. So I didn't want the stems of the flowers to cover my handle. Just kind of nods to Colorado in sort of an artsy-fartsy kind of way. But everything's glued on. This is calancho. If you have not played with cut calancho, it's great. It is so great. Don't put it in your cooler though, because it'll drop and it does funny things. It doesn't really get moldy. It just gets slimy kind of. Yeah, it's weird. And we have a fight at the wholesaler. It goes in the cooler, it goes out of the cooler. And I'm like, trust me, it goes out of the cooler. You can even go buy a plant and just start chopping the plant down. Yes, Lisa.
Is that a plant that you're talking about, the
This-
cilantro
no.
plant, or is it coming fresh cut?
This was fresh cut. This was from Sun Valley, and it was about
Really
this tall. So, but for corsage and boutonniere work, I have planned. And then you could plant it in your yard, because it comes back.
But it holds a
Mm.
good
I would say out of water, probably a week. It doesn't start to, droop. Yeah, it does. It does. So it's just a fun little texture. I mean, just those little tiny rosettes. That would be great in corsage and boutonniere work. On your little tattoos that you all learned today. Wouldn't that be great? Just and the colors that it comes in, the hot pinks, the whites, that limey color. It's just really fun. We had a little Italian ruscus, just a couple pieces of Dusty Miller, which is a mainstay in Colorado. I don't think any wedding in Colorado does not have Dusty Miller. We sell it by the bucket loads. And there's always the fight. While it droops, it doesn't hold. Little trick. Either do the little loop wire technique, like you would wire a leaf to go on a corsage and boutonniere, or glue a salal on the back of it to add a little more structure, or stick something underneath it. Tuck it in, then tuck a rose underneath it. That way, if it droops, it just kind of looks natural. But that silvery velvet texture is really what you want. I mean, that goes in every wedding. So if you haven't used Dusty Miller, in the summer I have clients that plant it in their yard and then cut and use it, and actually it holds really well. I think. I don't really have a lot of trouble with it, truth. This one was from Royal Flowers, and theirs is probably about this tall. That one does, because it's heavy, it does droop a little bit, but when you're doing something like this, it really, you tuck it in there, it'll hold. Of course, a little bit of mimosa. I love mimosa. I know it's a love-hate, but to me, I can't get enough of it. And it's just so soft, and it smells kind of funky, but it's kind of fun. It's just a little different. Yeah. We use these beautiful butterfly ranunculus. You haven't seen those yet. Those are great, and those come from Sun Valley, and I think they come from a lot of people growing now. It's almost like a tulip that has blown open, but they're real petite. So they're yeah, it's beautiful. These Coral Duchess spray roses and these wonderful pom-pom ranunculus. Look at the texture. Look at that little. You just want to touch it. Great. So that's my little take on my artistry of bridal bouquets. One more. So I'm going to show you the holly chapel egg. I'm going to show you one that I did. Another one. Yes. Yes, Holly Chapel. Yep, she is the designer of the line, of the eggs and the pillow. She also has a base line that comes with it. I'm sorry, it's Amelia and Abelia, and I'm not sure which one is which. One's glass and one is plastic. The plastic is fairly inexpensive. It looks like glass. So, if you want somebody that says, I don't want to pay for your glass, but I want the centerpieces afterwards, or I want to give them away, but I need a container, showcase the glass, charge them for the plastic, then at the end of the night when you go back, flop them. That way you don't have to, worry about how am I going to, give these, I want my containers back, but they didn't pay for them. That way at least the plastic you have. And then when I do the pillows in a centerpiece, I don't secure them. Now I would for retail, if you're going out, when you're delivering for retail, but I wouldn't secure them for a wedding just for that purpose, or for the purpose of delivery, like I said, where you're delivering those compotes that are like this big, and when by the time you're in the mountains of Colorado, you're zooming here, you're zooming around, the water goes that way, the water goes this way, you pick up your box, it's completely wet. Where this way, all your stuff is clean. You don't have to dry. You don't have to clean it, you don't have to dry it. You set them on the table, you take these out of the bucket, you plop them in the compost. Really simple. So if I hand tied this, it would be heavy. I mean, it's fairly heavy now, but if we hand tied it, I think, you know, you'd be doing this, carrying 5 pounds down the aisle. But the egg really is such a great invention that allows you to be really freeform, but yet airy. So we'll pass this around.
How did you deal with the high humidity in the mountains? Things dry out so quickly.
We don't have humidity in the mountains. Oh God,
No.
What was the question?
Humidity.
we do. So if you're like the boxes that we have, now in the mountains, a lot of places when you're delivering, you can't have water in your containers because you're going up in a cat. How do I explain a cat? It's a big like tractor snowmobile that goes up the mountain. So you're packing all your stuff in this thing, you can't have water. So if you're designing in the mountains, you use more foam. So there, Crowning Glory is my best friend. I love Crowning Glory. I wasn't a proponent of it, you know, 10 years ago, but this wedding that I did in Aspen, we drove, it's 4 hours to Aspen from Denver, Colorado. 4 hours up. We got there at 9 o'clock in the morning. My husband Ken painstakingly is my helper. God love him. We got out. He sprayed all the hydrangea with Crowning Glory before we even designed. Because I designed my arches pretty much on site. That way, it's easier for me. So we designed. The wedding wasn't until 4:30 in the afternoon. We had probably 15 or 20 left over that I didn't use. Sprayed them. Stuck them in a hot van. We went to the wedding, we danced, we drank. Then we went to the hotel, kept them in the van. Then we were going to drive home the next day, 4 hours back, but there was an accident. So 4 hours turned into 10 hours to get home from Aspen. Thinking, hot van. We took them out, I recut them, I had them on my counter for 2 weeks. Crowning Glory. Best friend. And you want to use Crowning Glory for events because Crowning Glory is the sealant. It won't allow the blooms to open. It keeps them in their state as they are. For retail or everyday use, you want to use finishing touches. That allows it to, it's a sealant, but it still allows it to mature and to open up. There's also Chrysler does a really good line as well of spray. So I was able to ask to be part of a wedding, to design a wedding for a Victoria's Secret model last summer, which I was so honored. And she had a huge arch. I mean, it was 3 times the size of this, had to be dripping. And in Colorado, we use mock orange. It's a shrubbery that has the little tiny white flowers on it. In Colorado, it does not like Colorado at all. So I told her, go get one of those garden sprayers, like the 5-10 gallon garden sprayers, go buy tons of Crowning Glory, and we just sat there and sprayed it, and sprayed it, and sprayed it. And it was June, it was probably a 95-degree day. That thing did not go down, it was fine. And I had trepidation about the mock orange, because it scares me. You know, it's like, are you sure? Oh, no. I'm like, okay. It was fine. It was fine. But we do have that problem with drying out in Colorado. It really, so a sealant, proper food, proper cleaning of your flowers and processing, proper storage. I like my roses to be blown open, so we leave them out, but then I like to cool them off for another hour or another night before I go to harden up before I design. That way you know they're good. And then spray with Crowning Glory. If you do Crowning Glory, make sure it dries completely before you put it into your cooler, like all your corsage and boutonnieres. There's different rules of thought. Lightly mist it. I spray the bejesus out of it. I'm like, if I could dunk the whole thing in there, I would. And, you know, it leaves a little bit of a film. Red roses, you gotta be careful because some of them, like if you're using a black picara or a hearts, it does kind of leave a little milky film on it. So that you would do a little lightly, but I go to town on it. I mean, I just spray. So it doesn't, to me, it's just an added protection for you. You know, with the heat in Colorado and the dryness, you know, you're delivering some of these weddings 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and the wedding's at 8 o'clock at night, and they're in and out, in and out. And then we have cold conditions. It doesn't help freezing in Colorado, so they will still freeze in Colorado. So just, you know, you try which one works for you. If you like the Kreisel, if you like the crowning glory, just see what works for you. Do a test. You know, do the hydrangea test. Do one without crowning glory, one with. And another trick with hydrangea, lots of water. Lots and misting. I almost fill the bucket to the top where the water hits their neck or the first leaves, and I find that works. And then if one goes down, I just flip it over, stick it in the one, submerge it, let it set for 20, 30 minutes. That thing will pop back like nothing flat. You know, it kills me when people say, my hydrangea went down. You know, when I do weddings, I mean, this wedding, I think we had 120 stems of hydrangea. I think I maybe had 5 go down. You know, and that's expected, but I just don't, you know, when they call and say my whole box of hydrangea died. Well, how did you process it? What did we follow the great steps that we need to make sure our flowers are perfect? But, you know, and it does. I'm not saying it doesn't go down, but I think if we, you know, use our steps and the products that we have, it's just going to make our business so much easier, and then the satisfaction for our customers. So.
You put them pretty deep into the water,
Mm-hmm.
all the way up to the.
All the way, I fill it up to, I leave 2 leaves on and I fill it all the way up. I give it a nice cut. Yeah, nice cut. I've heard people hammer it with stems.
Damage the cells.
You
Yes.
give them, you put their heads in water first when they first come in, and then.
Some people
cut it
do.
and-
I mean, if
What do you find works the best for you to get those a whole?
I find just, I cut them, put them in really, and I use warm, like almost hot water.
Right?
And
Yeah.
fill the bucket all the way to the top and just put it in. Yeah. When I submerge them, I don't do hot water. A lot of people in our area use alum, this spice, or quick dip. I really haven't used quick dip that much, so I can't say if I see it works or it doesn't, but some people swear by it. You know, and they really say it works really well. I have people that say alum works really well. Does it?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I have worked with people that do the quick dip. I just haven't seen the progression of the difference, so maybe I'll do a little study sometime and see.
We use alum if we put a hydrangea in floral foam.
Oh,
And
okay.
just by that, we did a big wedding that we won with in 2011, and there were 38 centerpieces that had 24
The
hydrangea in floral foam. We allumed every one. It was unseasonably warm. The reception was in a huge tent. And the next day, not one hydrangea had gone down.
Yeah.
It was probably 95 degrees in there.
That's how ours was. Ours was in a tent that just sinks.
For a couple of weeks.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you cut it, dip it in alum.
It works well.
Every designer has their alum at their desk.
Wow.
Keep for a long time.
I just don't think they like floral foam.
Well, you know, I haven't had any trouble with floral foam, and Lisa can attest as well. Yeah, I miss them. I put them in floral foam. I have people that say, "Oh my God, you put hydrangea in floral foam?" Do you guys have a problem with it? And I know you use a lot of hydrangea. Sometimes I'll put them on the side of the foam, or I make sure I like put it all the way to the, you know, just jam it in it. But I even break off little pieces and put it around in the foam. Yeah, I don't have problems. So I don't know if they're not processing correctly. I always tell them, go to the supply department. Ask about the Oasis product. Ask about what is available to you. If you don't know, call Floral Life or call Oasis directly, and they'll tell you what is the best steps to use if you're having trouble. But
I think what you're talking about, the deep buckets, we also do that, we never have problems.
no,
Because it's so heavy that when people only fill the bucket even halfway, the head of the hydrangea pulls it to the side and it gets that
Or
water.
designer takes
right.
one out. and
I
come out and
cringe
one.
every time I go
I
to
mean,
a wholesaler and there's, you know, they jam 40 stems in a percona. Somebody pulls one out and they're all sitting out like this, and I'm like, guys, they're drinkers. So hydrangeas are
Named after
drinkers.
water.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and hydrangeas.
Yeah.
Hydrangeas, water.
Right.
Right.
So give
There's
them
a reason
water.
they're called hydrant.
Yeah, and I, along like you, I missed as well.
I
miss, and they say, and I could be wrong, that once you spray Crowning Glory, the spraying with mist really won't penetrate. I do. Might be just be something I. Am I wrong, Frank? Is that?
No, I think everything you said, that's exactly what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I spray it with Crowning Glory, and then when I put it up, I mist it, and I'll maybe Crowning Glory it again, and so it's just it's like, oh, okay, let's go take it. So, yeah. But we each have to do what works for our shop, and if you're afraid of hydrangea, then don't use it. Unfortunately, I didn't get any in my program. You seem to be talking a lot about it, but it's used a lot in every wedding. I mean, I think it's a staple in anything that we do. So the more we learn and how to keep it processed correctly, it only benefits us. So, yeah. So now I'm going to do a demonstration about our lovely egg. We passed around an egg. Oh, yep. Another thing which is really good I didn't mention with the pillows, you can also design in the pillow and then attach it in your arch. That way, you can keep it in water, you can keep it hydrated all the way, and then right before, you can just muster it. So that's going to give you a more concentrated and dramatic punches of flowers as opposed to by using one of the jumbo cages. So just a different thought, I mean, these are versatile. These come in, like I said, a few different sizes. I've also done a bridal bouquet in these, so you don't get the expansive look like you would with the big look, but you get a nice kind of compacted look. So when I'm designing with the egg, I kind of just hold my 2 fingers down here. As you see, there are various sizes of the holes around. That will allow you to get your focal point in. So if you put your hydrangea, if you put 3 or 4 roses in there, it gives you more space. So there's some on the right in the center. So I always kind of hold it by my 2 fingers, and you want to start with your greens. So I kind of start with my side pieces, and it's just kind of random. But you go on one side, go on the opposite side, because that way it's going to create balance for you. And just pull it down. So you're going to want to create an X. Then we'll go on the other side, and then I'll put maybe a little piece of plum. And I'm doing another piece of plum on this side. That way, then you have your handle. So that's your handle to hold with. Then I'll go in and add just a few other pieces of greens. Not a lot, because remember, you don't want it so full that you can't get your flowers in your page. Just maybe another little piece here. Maybe one little piece of seeded yew coming out. As I'm designing this, I hope everybody really supports their local wholesalers. I think they're the backbone of our industry, not because I get a paycheck from one, but just because you create a relationship with your wholesaler. I was best friends with my wholesaler before I got out of my shop and went into wholesaling. They know what to get you, and I hope they're honest with you. That if you're asking for the new toffee rose that's, one bunch is available once a month, and they say, I can get it for you, but it's going to be $65 a bunch. But we may not get it 2 weeks later. And they're not saying that because they didn't try to get it. We jump through hoops to try and get your flowers for you. The logistics that we have to go through, the people I have to talk to. So your wholesalers are I think they're the bread and butter of our industry. I mean, they really hold us together. They'll do anything for you, And we're kind of going by getting away from that. So, if you buy from direct, They're not gonna host a show for you. They're not gonna say, hey, come to my facility, let's have this great design program. Your wholesaler is. So as you walk out, tap them on the back and say thank you. You know, we work hard for you guys. And remember, when you're busy, we've been busy for 2 months ahead of you. You know, like Valentine's. Valentine's, I started in October. So by the time Valentine's came, I didn't want to hear that word again. So just really get a relationship with them. Tell them, hey, this is what I like. I see this out there. Is this possible? You know, because we all have these great wholesalers that are wonderful with marketing, but they forget to tell you the little niosh that, you know, that toffee rose is not available. But I have this. Maybe let's try the combo, which is hard to get, or let's try a mother of pearl that will open up and kind of look like it. So be communicative with them. Say, hey, I saw that Southern Smilax. I've never seen that before. Can you get it? And they'll say, sure, let me look into it. So that's my little wholesale speech for everybody. So back to this. We just put little pieces of greens throughout. I do in the front, I'll go in the back. That way, it doesn't tip and your egg stays straight. Then I start with my focal pieces. Beautiful patience from Rosa Prima. Lovely, lovely. Sometimes a thorn in our side, right? David Austin roses are just phenomenal. I mean, they perform so well. But everybody wants them. Everybody needs them. But your wholesalers will say, I don't have patience, but I can get you this. I can get you alabaster. Or I can get you a playa blanca that if you let stay out, it's going to open this big. And playas are half the price, more than half the price, and beautiful. And there's some playa blancas in here. Those are with the white roses that I reflexed out. And they're beautiful. Moonstone, Mondial, you know, they just want that look. They don't really necessarily say, I need to have, some do, Pinterest, I need to have the David Austin patience. But if you can say, but I can do this, and I can get you more instead of 3 or 4. So on the hole that's larger here, I'm able to put 2 or 3 stems in there. That way, I'm starting my focal here. And then you just poke at an angle to make sure you go through the bottom. Simple. Now we're going to do with my favorite, Kahala. What's my saying?
Holla for Kahala.
Hala for Kahala. Isn't that pretty?
Funny how you remember that.
He said it in a video and it just made me
Kahala.
laugh.
K-A-H-A-L-A. And pretty much all the vendors are growing them.
What's the name?
Kahala. Hala for Kahala.
I
I love
didn't hear the holler.
Holler for Kahala. See how I'm able to get that elongated look with the ruscus? And then we just go in and randomly put. Real simple. I think this one will less than 5-10 minutes. And say the phone rings. I wait on a customer. I come back. And I pick it right up. And it's not all over the place. Just before, if you're doing a hand tie, you're like, wait, where's the tape? Where's the base? You know, I gotta set it down. You put it in your arm. Simple.
Can I call you right back?
Yeah, it's like, wait, I've got it right over here in my hand. I can't talk now. Real simple. And then say, you know, when you're gripping on a hand tie, your hands are like this. A little light. Oh, I don't like that there. I want it a little bit higher. I want that one lower. Simple.
And it stays.
It stays, yeah. It's real easy. And then you don't have to worry about covering, like on the bottom, like this mechanic will show. Don't worry about covering that right now as you're designing, because you'll get to that at the end. That's real simple. Then I'm going to put in the beautiful ranunculus from Sun Valley. We love ranunculus, don't we? kids came in the other day that were white, and then on the ends, like somebody went and painted the ends. It's like, can I just take these home? If they don't let me, but well, they would if I gave them my credit card. Tulips. And then you don't always have to put everything in the egg. Say like I want some tulips just kind of drooping down because these can be a bugger. Of course, Dusty Miller, we all like Dusty Miller. And look, see, that's just going to hold there. Oh, yeah, just, I love it. I love the texture. I love the color that it adds. I love that grayness, that kind of misty, dark. I don't even mind if it flops over. You know, but see how I tuck that among something else so it's going to hold it?
Can I get a hollow?
Can I get a hollow for it? Crispidia. I don't like the other name we call it. Ken's left. Maybe we'll add a little bit of lava down here. Of course, you gotta do the painting. Gotta have that. If you haven't seen it, call him. Tell him I saw it, Bill did it. Yeah, but this took how many cans, Robin?
Too many.
Too many cans. She was out there, she was like, don't ask me again.
No. If you're gonna paint it with metallic first, then your color on top. Because if you don't, it's not gonna adhere to the paint.
So we painted this coral first.
Yeah, we painted it the coral first and it turned out raspberry.
Yeah, it looked funky.
So then I went over it with copper and then a little bit with a light coral, and then I just did a little shimmer of copper over the top of the coral.
Did you put anything behind?
Gorgeous, right? I mean, look at.
Did I put?
And I'm not
I
putting-
just actually laid
and
all
four pieces
of
in there.
it down on top of each other and
We
painted
find
that
If
way.
you put something behind it, it kind of holds the paint a little bit better.
I was doing it out.
So in that case, paying the extra for the pre-dyed
Yeah.
would be totally worth it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because Robin was kind of high when she came back.
Yeah.
I like it. Gold is my color though.
Yeah, gold.
So before
I
I
like
finish
gold
it,
better.
I kind of deconstruct it. So, light, airy.
Yay!
Oh, you didn't even taste it yet.
Did it move?
No.
Well, I took those out because I didn't have them in. So, but we'll just quickly finish. I'm just kind of covering my bottom here.
Ken thought that was funny too.
Cover your mechanics.
I know.
I got
Cover your mechanics.
We've got our own show.
Well, and you can get as big as you need to. I mean, I've had a customer that put together 2 of these side by side, and that bouquet was, you know, a casket piece down the aisle, I like to say. But hey, to each their own.
Yeah.
Now these I'm not putting in, I'm just lightly putting off to the side because I want a little drama down there. Just give them a little tape. Long piece of tape. I use both. I find sometimes I like break the zip ties and then I break the stems, but the only thing I have trouble hiding on a zip tie is that little knot. That when I go to grab it, I always hit it. So if there's a trick out there that I don't know of, please share.
You could use pearl pins. That's what I do.
I'm sorry?
The knot used to always drive me crazy with those.
Yeah.
And so I beat the pearl pins down.
Oh, and cover it with the pins. Yeah.
It works.
I mean, zip tie is everybody's friend now.
But that's
So-
what drove me crazy about zip ties was that knot. So I
Right.
could beat.
I'd grab them and be like, oh, there went my hand.
It's pretty cool.
You guys haven't used these before?
Yes, so wonderful.
Wonderful.
Just don't cut your.
Right.
Oh my God,
Right.
that's
So there we go.
Yeah, you've got.
I'm cheating, but they're good. So simple, but I don't have a lot of product in there, and it's pretty big. So, and then use this for the bridesmaids. So you've got real simple, real easy, and then I always like to, you know, do double duty and have them use these as centerpieces on their tables. You know, sell them a vase, and then put that in there. That way you can have product. So, in conclusion, on the Florist Review Best Wedding, just make sure you get every picture you possibly can. They have different categories. You can submit a bridal bouquet, you can submit personal work, centerpiece work, I believe. I think it's 4 or 5 categories. It doesn't have to be best wedding. And I submitted 2 that year. I think you could submit up to 3. And I did one that I thought, oh, this may be a consideration. You know, it had the Southern Smilex all over, it had the candles everywhere, it had the flowers. No, my other wedding won. And I tell you, I was truly shocked, and I'm honored that I was given that product, given that award. You win a nice little perk. I got 250 stems of Alexander roses.
Yeah.
I get a free box of flowers a month that come to the door. Yeah. I got $250 to Fitz, and there was one other thing, but I can't remember. Which is horrible.
Bragging rights too.
I'm sorry?
Yeah,
Bragging rights, of course, of course. So it was an honor. I mean, you know, I think you're validated that you, not only from your customers, but from your peers. It just says, yeah, I'm kind of on that right trajectory. And it was the same year I was inducted. So I was kind of on that high, and the girl I was inducted with interviewed me for the article. So it just kind of fell circle. So I was very honored, and I was very pleased, and it's just something that, you know, I have a stack of magazines on my table saying, hey, look, I'm in a magazine. Not often do we get to do that, so. But just make sure you, if you're going to submit either for Style Me Pretty or all the 10,000 other blogs that are out there, just get really good photos. Just photograph your work. That's your, you know, that's something you can brag. Blow them up and put them in your consultation area, you know, and that way, so they don't have to come in with Pinterest. You can say, pick from my Pinterest board. Show what I can do. I mean, Pinterest is great. I think it's brought an awareness to our customers. And it gave them a forefront into flowers. It can be a hindrance. They come in with a, what do they call it, a mood board or a motivation board or something. I take that and say, now you came to me. Let's talk about what I can do to help your vision. What can I do? Because you came to me to design it. So let's see what we can do. Still taking. They do a lot of the work for you, don't they? You know, they come in with a myriad of pictures and stuff, so you don't have to be, oh, let's pull up this picture, let's do this. You know, when I do a consultation, I send out a bid, I pull off the Pinterest page, and I say similar or representing this. It's not going to be exact because I don't design like Ken, I don't design like Lisa. We all have our own little niche, and that's why they came to you. So I'm more than gracious to be up here to present for you guys. I'm over the top. It was such an honor. First of all, I have to thank Bayish and Skinner to opening up their wonderful wholesale to us. They have been so great to work with. Dealing with another wholesaler can be a little tricky because they're like, oh, you know, but they were great. I said, here's my list. I have product coming in. They're like, what can we do to help? Do you want your roses set out? Do you want us to process? So they were so wonderful. I can't thank them enough. My wonderful sponsors that, you know, I threw it out there. Hey, I write a lot of checks to you a month. What can you do for me? And they were gracious. So Royal Flowers was gracious enough to offer me a lot of product. My rep is just, it's like your rep in wholesale. My rep for buying. They'll do anything for you. You know, she bends over backwards. At Valentine's Day, we do box lots, and I'm like, this one needs to be labeled this one needs to be labeled that, and they're done. And you know, it's the same relationship. Royal flowers is just so great. Rosa Prima, if you haven't experienced Rosa Prima roses, ask your wholesaler. They're a little more pricey, but they're beautiful. This one is the Playa Blanca. Playa is different from vendor to vendor. This one's a little more whiter. We tend to use another vendor that it's a little more creamier. All depends on Mother Nature of how they come out. But their roses are really, really exceptional. They have a new one called Country Home, and it's in some of the bridal works that I have. It's a big-headed corally peach. Very pretty, very pretty. Of course, that's, you know, Pantone color of the year. Peach is not going out. Sun Valley, you know, American grown. We all love the American grown stuff. They do wonderful tulips, wonderful bulbs, great product, and I believe you guys carry Sun Valley as well, so it's a wonderful line. As summer progresses, everything explodes. You know, it's really fun with their product to offer. Syndicate Sales, can't thank them enough. They're a huge supporter of our industry. They try to be on the cutting edge and you know, keep everything that we need to make our lives easier. The new moss line from them, Bella Moss, the Holly Chapel line, the Serenity line, which if you do a lot of funeral work, this is the one to go. This is the one to do. Yeah. Accent Decor, trendsetters of wonderful products. They're always on what's new. Their design team is fabulous. They know what we want. You know, they really understand our industry really well. Oasis, where would we be without Smithers Oasis? You know, they just really hit it home for us from their vast array of products, from you know the treatments of the flowers to Oasis to all the new products that they have coming out. It's such a great line, and they're a wonderful company to work with. I just love everybody at Oasis. Another one of my vendors I neglected to mention was the Greenery, Albert and Hagstrand. They provided me with whatever I want. They're like, sure. And I called back and said, hey, can I add on? Sure. So Florida Greens Company, the flowers from Florida are great. I would really try that. So, and most of all, I have to thank South Central for allowing me to present to you today. It's an honor to be asked. So thank you. I'm Bill Hattel.